Hi, how's it going? So in today's tutorial, I'm trying to get in the fall spirit. I love summer, so it's hard to see it go, but I'm trying out some fall colors, or trying to shift to fall colors, and this is what I came up with. Now this is actually a very simple design, and it's great for beginners. And I've got some beautiful color shift paint in there that really gives it some sparkle. So if you're ready to give this design a shot, then keep watching. Alright, I'm using a natural stone, and it's not perfectly round, but close enough. And this is about a 1-inch brush, and I'm using Apple Barrel Jet Black paint. You just want to get a nice thin layer on, and it's good to get all the little holes. You might want to go back and forth over the stone, and then just kind of take off all the excess paint. Here my stone has dried, and I'm just going to eyeball the center. This is a cadmium yellow from Deco Art Americana. And this dotting tool is a crochet hook, and it's a blue crochet hook. And again, I'm just kind of looking straight down on it and doing my best to find the center. Now I've let the center dot dry, and now I'm going to pull out my stencil. Now this is a 16 slice stencil, and I sell these in my Etsy shop. And now you can put the center of the stencil right over top of your dot, and now you can, it's a nice and flexible stencil, and you can just line up your lines as you go. This is a new little chalk slate pen that I'm trying. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but I will let you know how well it works. And then again, I'm just going to go down each of the little lines, and the stencil is flexible, so you can get all the way down as far as you need to go. Now I don't take all of the lines all the way down because I just don't need them to go all the way down, but you get the gist. Alright, so there are my guidelines. I am starting off with bright orange for the first ring around the center dot. And this is my largest nail stylus dotting tool. And you want to get plenty on the ball there. You don't want it to go all the way up the stick, the shaft of the nail stylus, but you want to coat that ball. I just go in a crisscross, and then I'm going to put a dot right in between each of those. And you really want to get as close to that center dot edge as you can without actually touching it. But if you touch it, it's okay. Don't freak out. Okay, this is a number 2. That's just what I've numbered it. It's a very small nail stylus dotting tool. And I'm just going to put a dot right in between each of those. So I didn't want to overcrowd it, but I didn't want to leave that big of a space. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to. If you like the space, then go ahead and leave it. Now this is called Orange Flame, and this is the smallest wooden dowel that I have. I call it about 3 millimeters in size, and you want to get enough on that end. Don't worry about a little droplet looking bit on the end of the dotting tool. That's supposed to be there, and that's perfectly fine. And go ahead and push down. You're going to dot right next to the smaller dots, or the spaces there. So right in between the larger dots all the way around. And you just want to push down until you can see some paint start to come out, and then just pick up your tool. You don't actually want to push your tool real hard down on the stone. Alright, this is the smallest smallest nail stylus that I have. I call it a size 1, and I'm just going to walk a few dots down, going outwards from the center dot. And I do this right in between each of those previous dots there. You can just do 2 if you think 3 sticks out too far, or you can just do 1 if you want. It's just however you like to do it. Okay, the next color is called Scarlet, and I'm using my very smallest blue crochet hook end. And I'm just going to put a dot right on the edge part there of those little spokes, is what I'll call them, all the way around. And just use your guidelines. So just stick the dot right on that guideline. Okay, and this is a number 2. It's very small nail stylus, and you just want to line it up, so stick it right on that guideline for your center, and then walk the dots down one side, hugging that dot. Redip your tool, redot that first initial dot, and then walk down the other way. Now the dots get smaller on their own. You don't have to put less pressure. They just naturally will just get smaller on their own. That's the cool thing about these tools. It makes it nice and easy. And you're going to do that to each one of those outer dots. Here we are. Next color is called True Red. These are all the DecoArt Americana brand. And we are going to put a dot with our orange tool right in between each of those little bridges there. I call those little bridges. Just stick it down as far as you can, but not, obviously not crowding out those other dots. So just give it enough room, but kind of angle it a little bit down into that dip. Alright, and this is Anita's Metallic Craft Paint in bronze. And I love the metallic paints from Anita's because they are not snappy. They don't have that snapback. They are just nice and smooth. So I do like this brand for metallics for sure. Now I'm doing a little swipe. You just go as if you're going to put down a dot. I apologize about the autofocus. I had no idea it was doing this until the editing process, and then I was like, well, it's kind of too late to do anything about this. You basically just put your dotting tool down as if you're going to make a dot, and then hold it down, and then just swipe it out in one direction, and then redip, put it back in that same initial spot down, and swipe it out the other side. You're just making like little V's, little copper V's underneath those brighter red dots there, because there's a space there. Now if you want, you can just put a dot, a copper dot, or you could try it that way if you're uncomfortable doing the little swipes. And they don't have to be perfect, and don't worry about it if they're not. All right, here we are mixing 2 colors. It's the Royal Fuchsia, and I want to put a little bit more of the Royal Fuchsia than the True Red. But I do want to put a little bit of True Red in there. And then I'm going to mix those up so it's a little bit more of a gradual change. And I'm using my green crochet hook, and these are the Crystallites crochet hooks. And I put a link in all of my videos descriptions on how you can find a set of these. So if you just click below, you will find links to my Etsy shop and links to all of the tools that I use. And we're just going to put a dot right in between on each of those spokes going out from the stencil guidelines. Going back to the copper, and this is about a size 2, and I'm just going to make a swipe just like we did underneath, but this time it's on top and angling down, kind of like little hats. And you can always practice some swipes before before you move to your project, just go ahead and try some on the side on some scrap paper or some scrap cardboard that you have. Okay, they don't have to be perfect. Just roll with it. Alright, moving on to Royal Fuchsia, and using my large blue crochet hook. And you're just going to put a dot right in between each of those little bronze caps. So all the way around. Alright, and this is a size 3 nail stylus. That's what I call it. This would be a 3, and I'm just going to walk some dots down and around, starting on the center of the outer edge of that pink dot there, and walk down one side, and then redip your nail stylus, and then redot that first initial dot, and then walk the dots on down the other side. Just hug that dot. Alright, so this is now Royal Fuchsia and Purple Pizzazz. And again, I'm going to use more of the Royal Fuchsia than I will the Purple Pizzazz, because the purple is a little stronger, just like the red, and I just want a gradual fade. Make sure you mix them up real well. And this is my larger, I don't know, there's like 2 blues, but one is more of an aqua, and this one is more of a purple blue. So, alright, and I'm just going to put a dot right on top of each of those little bronze hats, right in between each of those bronze little bridges there. And this is called True Red. And I'm going to use my size 5 nail stylus. Get a little bit of paint on there. Make sure your ball is good and covered. And start on the center outer edge. Make your initial first dot. Walk the dots down. Dip your tool. Dot again. The center dot, and then walk them down the other side. You're going to do that all the way around to each of those larger outer dots there. And something very exciting coming soon to my Etsy shop. I am getting ready to release a whole bunch of stencils, new stencils for y'all to try. So be on the lookout for those. And then I wanted to bring out a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to take my smallest wooden dowel. I'm just going to make 2 little dots right next to each other in between each of those true red bridges there that we just put on. And then we're going to make sure that all these paints are really good and dry before we move on to top dots. Now is where the magic happens. Color Shift paint is awesome paint. If you don't have any, I definitely recommend you go and get some. I'm going to use some orange flash, some red flash, and some pink flash. And I'm going to just put top dots on each of the rows here of the larger dots. Alright, starting off with the size 3 nail stylus. It's not very large. You don't want to cover the whole entire dot. You just want to put a little small dot in the middle of each of these dots here. So the first 2 rows I'm doing the orange flash. And then the next 2 rows I use the red flash, and then on the last 2 rows I'm going to use the pink flash. Okay, so here, this is the red flash, and I'm using my smallest blue crochet hook. You go all the way around, staying with the red flash again for the next row. And if you don't get enough, go ahead and just double dot it. That's no big deal at all. Now, there is something to say here about inconsistencies in paint, even within the same brand. The first 2 color shift paints that I used, they didn't really have very much of a snapback. This last one, however, does have a snapback worse than the others. The aqua that I have also does have quite a bit of a snapback, and that can get stringy and it can really make a mess of your stone. So just go really slow when you're dealing with a paint that is snappy. Go straight up and down and take your time and let it release on its own. And don't just dot it and pull away real quick. That's just the best advice that I have for that. But even though this paint was very snappy, I had to incorporate it just because I absolutely love color shift paint. You know, another thing to keep in mind when doing top dots is it's really important to let your layers dry very well before moving on. Okay, and now this stone is completely dry, and that's just how you want it before moving on. Now I am going to go back, and I just wanted to add a few more highlights here and there, and a few more pops of color. So I've got a very small nail stylus, which is what I call a size 2. And I'm going to go back with that cadmium yellow. I'm going to put a few dots around the ring. I'm not doing every dot around the ring, I'm doing the larger dots around the first initial ring. And then I'm going to use that same cadmium yellow and that same size tool to put a dot on the next ring out. So I'm not really wanting to cover up the color shift paint, but I just wanted to tone it down ever so slightly. So now we have a total of 3 dots here. So 3 layers. And here I switch to the bright orange, which is the lightest orange color. Just putting a teeny tiny dot right in the middle there of these little, of that next row of dots. And now I've jumped up in size to the largest nail stylus, which still makes quite a small dot. And I'm going to put a dot right in the middle of the first layer of red, going all the way around. And now I'm going to switch to true red, and I'm going to put a dot right in the middle of each of those on the next row. And I'm using my very smallest wooden dowel for that. See, what I'm doing is I'm just alternating the same colors that we've already used on this stone. So I'm not actually using a ton of colors, I'm just using those same colors that you've already got out. And I'm going to stick with that same red for the next layer. Same size tool, same color. Alright, you're going to go ahead and do that all the way around. And then for the very last row, I'm going to switch to the straight Royal Fuchsia paint. And I'm using my blue crochet hook, which is the very smallest blue one that I have. And then I thought a little bit more of that bronze color would look very nice along the outer edge. So I used that same dark blue little crochet hook, and I'm just going to put a dot of the bronze right underneath each of those yellow dots. And that will be it for this design. Just go ahead and do those all the way around. And that's it. There it is. Isn't that pretty? I thought that turned out very nicely. And I love how you can actually see the colors shift. So cool. Okay, well, I hope you liked today's tutorial. If you did like this tutorial, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know what you would like to see me cover in a future tutorial. And of course, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Till next time, see ya!